life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Shindig podcast, where we get under the skin of the trials biking community. My name is Tom Hutley.
And I'm Matthew Pengelly.
We've got a huge legend on today.
Yeah, pretty big deal in the trial. In the biking world.
Yeah.
Sorry, not just the trials. Straight to it. Let's give it up for Kenny Belaey. Yes,
Yeah.
Kenny.
Yo, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, man, we're great. Yeah, we're really good, man. Really good to have you on here today.
Yeah,
So,
great. Thanks,
where
man.
are you today?
I'm in Belgium, so Alter. You guys remember from the World Cups? That's my hometown. That's where I am right now. I landed, I think, a week and a half ago. So jet lag finally over, and I'm getting to enjoy Belgium, see my family. That's a good thing about it.
And some home time. So you're back at your house, your base.
Yeah.
The HQ.
Yeah.
As we
Yeah,
so to
exactly.
speak. So you said you just landed. I mean, so some of the listeners probably don't know, but where did you just land from? Where have you just been?
I was in the States for, I think, almost 2 months. And I went there to organize the Bentonville Bike Fest. So it's in Northwest Arkansas. And it's a place I got to discover like 8 years ago through just a random show that they hired me for. I made some friends, and 8 years later, I'm now organizing an event there.
The man behind it all.
Wow.
Obviously, it was a little bit of a mishap because it was going to be in 2020, or did it have to get postponed? Wasn't it because of obvious?
Yeah.
reasons?
So in 2019, I did a women focused event only, and I was like, come on, we can do better than that, right? So we were like, let's do it an event for all, like just not for women. Yeah. And then we made it from Women's Shred. We went to Bentonville Bike Fest in 2020, and we had to postpone it, and I had to postpone it again from May to August to October, and then I finally had to cancel. And then 2021 was my shot, like, hey, I'm just gonna pick a date, third weekend of June, and see what happens.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it looks like it worked out well from what I've seen online.
No, it was awesome. It was really cool. It's the biggest thing I've ever produced, and I've been like, whoa, it took a lot of I think I'm gonna die a year sooner because of that festival.
Well, and if you're doing it every year, so you may lose a 1 year every year.
No.
Doing it.
It was just the takeoff. It was like more than I think 18 months of thinking about the concept and the strategy. But once I started planning, we started from zero budget too. So I had to do everything remotely from Spain. I literally was drawing the layout from a drone shot that a friend sent me. So all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was insane. I took so many risks to do it, but it's just go with it, man. It's America. You got to take risks if you want to do something there.
Yeah, man. And it looks, like I say, it did look really successful. If you guys didn't see any of it, make sure you go and check it on the Instagram. We had Hans Ray on a couple of weeks, and he was there and he spoke about it, and he was commenting.
Yes.
He was one of the commentators, and he gave us a little insight.
Yeah, I think what we want to do there is bring trials back on the main stage, because in America it kind of died off, and I'm feel so bad about it. Every bike festival you go to is trials is just a demo, or it's just. And in that specific area, I'm very lucky to have a lot of brands that want to be involved. And also the people behind the trail system, they love trials. So this was a unique opportunity to say, hey, let's bring trials back where it belongs. And next year we make it a C1 competition, and the year after it's going to be a World Cup. And it's just a great venue. And it wasn't only trials. It was also, we had 80 vendors. We had 500 racers, enduro, women's shred workshops. Carson Storch, Mike Hucker workshops. We had a huge dirt line. So it was a whole bike festival, but trials was in the middle. And I made sure that, of course, it was in the middle of the event field.
Yes, right in the center.
If you've got a man of influence who's come from the trial scene, who's got that passionately, then that is so good to see.
Well, I quite like that, because I always say trials was the center of cycling. So it's this is how it began, and then it evolved from that. That's how I would like to see it,
Well, it's kind of true. A lot of people always say, hey, trials, especially the people from the mainstream sports. I talk a lot to mountain bikers and road cyclists, and the dirigents behind it. Like they always seem to look at trials like, oh, it's a small sport and no one does it. I'm like, first of all, it's a very hard sport to learn. So it will never be a mass sport. Like you'll never have 50,000 people doing it in one country. I think that's probably not possible because it's so hard. But it's a great spectator sport. And also, if you look at the most popular videos out there over the last 20 years, or you got like all these trials influence riders like Hans Ray, like Akrik, Danny, and they all have a trials background, and that's the funny thing. Everybody knows trials, but they don't really know it.
yeah, exactly. They don't realize that they started on like a potentially a trials bike or learning the actual
controlling.
And it's so nice to see it come back as well, because speaking with Hans, just like how big trials sort of could have been. It was almost like a false start where what he done with it and how big it was getting, almost getting into like the X Games and kind of sitting alongside skateboard and all these other things, and it just kind of went to the wayside. So I think what you're doing there sounds just awesome.
Yeah, I think America is a place, especially this venue for me. Like I kind of did the same thing in Antwerp and Alter, which was great. But I kind of feel like it died off because I was the star, and if I didn't perform well, there was no media. There's no media. There's no sponsors. So it was too much of a fragile concept.
Wow. Yeah. I see that.
So that was the main reason I had to pull the plug, because it was harder and harder to find sponsorship, because also I couldn't guarantee that I was going to be in the final every year, because I was also organizing it, or like just too much pressure. And so I said, look, give me a few years. I'm going to try and do the same thing in America, because America is, man, there's a lot more opportunity. The budgets are bigger. I had like a $4,000 prize purse for the North American Trials Championship, which would be impossible here.
Yeah.
So I can only see it growing from there. And I think I have the right people behind me there. And I think building it big again in America, and then it will create like a business model for the rest of the world. Hopefully, that's my plan.
That makes sense though, because if you can break America, you've sort of broken the world. That is the market to break.
Exactly.
Well, I think as well, it takes away any biases, because if you do it on home soil, obviously you're kind of the main attraction to it. It's like, well, we know Kenny or whatever. I think if you go to America, you're kind of almost to some extent removing yourself, and you're going, look, it's about the event. It's not me. Yeah. It's look how good this event is. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. I'm glad you.
We can see that, especially with I've met. We saw Jeff had won those things. I've met Jeff a few times, great rider, and it just makes me laugh that thousands of miles away, the person that won, we still knew who it was. Like, oh, it's Jeff Anderson. Oh my gosh, he's
Jeff. Yeah, there were the level was quite good actually when Michael Friedel from North American Trials, he was building it. I thought it was gonna be maybe too hard, and then maybe a lot of people would dab but nope. Level was pretty good. Everybody was prepared. There were guys driving from Seattle, which is like with a car and just a little trailer and their bikes on it. It's like a 3-day drive. Wow. So the trials.
That's not close.
Yeah. So it's like driving to Russia from here almost, So it's huge. Yeah. So a lot of people put a lot of effort in, and I think we put a mark, we put a big stake in the ground, and let's see what the future brings. But hopefully a lot of European riders will come next year, because that's what this area needs. Like, they want to see international talent.
And I've already said it, we want to set that, we want to make that trip happen. I will be going, even if it's just me and you, Tom.
Yeah.
So 100%. And it's definitely, I went and lived in the States for 2 years and took my trials bike and didn't meet no one. I know. So small, and doing it that way. So I feel I have noticed traction though online since that event. There's now a USA trials group that's growing. There's a proper Facebook group now.
Oh yeah.
I think one of the guys that won the competition, I rudely forgot his name. Sorry. He started this group, and I can see traction building. So
that's cool.
You've done something already, Kenny. I definitely feel like there's.
Yeah, it's good. And it's also like a lot of the people from the city were like, what are you going to do, man? Like, there's not even a seat on the bike, because this whole area is about gravel riding and mountain biking and trails and like mainstream, and thousands of people have to come, or otherwise it's not successful.
Yeah.
But what people just don't realize, and a lot of event organizers don't realize, is like I was the event promoter, so I was talking to all the brands like Mobile One, Vital Proteins, like huge brands over there, and they sponsor like NBA, they sponsor Jennifer Aniston, so they're like big, and so you got to give back to them. And I'm always saying, look, you can put a cross country race here, nobody will care, but I'll put a trials competition on, and I have all your logos on the trials obstacles, and you're riding on billboards. So they were like, yeah.
Wow.
So,
yeah. When you said it like that.
yeah. So I'm like, what other sports can do that? Is there really no one else who sees that value? Right. So
yeah, no,
it's
like
that
really. You can't ever really stick it on the bike, or even like in Formula One, you can't ever stick it on like the vehicle itself. But you can't, like you say, the thing that you're watching, that the person's gapping between.
Yeah. And then the brands, and all the brands are now like, yeah, we want to be on board again next year. And like now the city and then a lot of people like, oh yeah, now we get it. Now we understand. So like trials, man, trials is such a valuable product, and no one even uses 10% of it, in my opinion. That's how I see it. I think there's a lot more to do with it.
Yeah, this is some really important discussions that everyone needs to know out there, because I didn't even think about that. You know, the sponsors come in there, because you take a picture at a comp and you're stationary. Well, obviously, if the brand and mark's there, you're going to see it nice and clearly.
Exactly, and there was like a few thousand around the trials area over the weekend. They were all like holding their phones, so they're all like scrolling, seeing the logo. So I like marketing, and I like to like give value to sponsors, and that's always been like one of my strengths. And this is, for me, trials with like so many disadvantages, but you can just wipe them off the table because there's so many advantages to it.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned the word sponsors there. You know, you've had a lot of support over the years, which we'll sort of maybe go into a little bit now. How did you get into delving with or working with Red Bull to start with? You know, I know this is quite a lot. It's a long time ago now. We're going to go right back, but I believe you were the first trials rider sponsored by Red Bull.
Second, I think.
Okay.
Third, sorry.
Third, okay, sorry. This is what you can tell us.
Peter Kraus was the first one. Then we had Thomas Oehler. And then it was me.
Okay, but you've still been working with them for as long as I've known you.
Tell
us about
21 years.
Tell us about that relationship that you have, because it seems different than others.
Yeah, it's pretty solid and long term. I know everybody who works there like personally, and like it's a very chill brand to work with. But as long as you deliver, of course, you got to be really think out of the box. And so I still remember the summer. I still was a junior, but I was gonna ride the first year. I think Kaprun, the World Championships in Kaprun in 2001, maybe.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah, it'd be 20 years.
2002. That was 2002. Right. So I was gonna ride the World Championship for the first time in September 2002 Elite, but the summer before that, I got hired to do shows. Like I just welded my own trailer and just with my friends had a cheap sound system and just had the best time of our life, just going from demo to demo. And like Red Bull picked it up. So the National Cycling Federation, they kind of introduced me to Red Bull that summer. And from there on, they were like, hey, what if we hire you for some shows at a beach club, and then at a school, and then some guerrilla marketing stuff for just cruising around in the city. And like we had a constant great energy like between Red Bull and my team and myself. And I was just wearing a t-shirt. There was nothing branded yet. And then in September, first year Elite, I won. So I beat Mark Vinko. I was a first year junior, so I won the World Championship. And so that piqued their attention because it was all over the news. And then I think 3-4 months later, I got a helmet. So I still have it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of it. They obviously they want to be supporting those winners. And you mentioned there you were competing. Are you still competing now? Are you still trying to get into as many competitions as you can?
No, not as many. I stopped doing as many as competitions I can like 8 years ago because I
Okay.
realized I gotta spend my time wisely. So I always focused on the World Championship only since I think the last, I don't know if you remember, but I broke my wrist in 2012 in Alter.
Yes, I
And at
remember
that,
vaguely that you were off the bike quite a while.
yeah, I fell off the car straight on my head, on my arm, and then finished the final. So I still remember that was the like the click that said, "Man, what are you doing? You're not making nearly as much as what you're making from your shows and all
Yeah.
that from competing, and you have like your labrum is torn, your back is messed up, your wrist is broken." And then that was like the tipping point where I said, "Look, now I gotta just focus more on my shows and my projects, and ride a slack line." And beside that, I said, "But World Championship is my main goal. World Championship, European Championship, everything with the World Championship behind the 1 day competition." And so I didn't do all before. I used to ride like 20 competitions a year, and from that point on, I just had way less competitions. And then I only focused on the World Championship, European, and a few World Cups. And now this September is going to be my final World Champs. So final time, the last time I'm gonna ride a world championship, because it's been like too much. Even if it was just one competition a year, I didn't compete in 2019 because I had a serious burnout. I was totally done. I couldn't, like, mentally, physically, my body was just done because I was always, you've seen me doing it, like
I know. I think
traveling.
the last time I actually saw you was 2018 in London, the bike battle, I believe.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even,
yeah,
the following year it didn't happen, so that might have been a lucky for you because
exactly,
you
yeah.
weren't riding. But
Yeah. So last World Championship, and then after that, just I will do a few. I will still do the nationals for a few years, like national championship, just to promote the Belgian scene.
yeah,
If there's a battle in London, I will go. If there's a competition in Cahors or a C1 competition in America or whatever, I'm just gonna do that. But the everybody always said, "Hey, how do you do it? We never see you, and you're always there on the podium in a world championship." I'm like, because it's my life,
yeah.
it's my year-round goal. It's like, I swear, it's like I wake up with it in 1st of January, and I go like until, and everything I do, my training, what I eat, when I train, when I rest, when I do a show, when I don't do a show, when I can be jet lagged, when I can't be jet lagged. It's like a kind of a theory,
It sounds awfully complicated, but it's obviously, do you know what I mean?
Very,
There is.
yeah. But I've been living like that for 20 years. So I'm like, I can't do it no more because my life is all jet lags. It's all unstructured. It's all shows and it's so much work.
It's a
And then
fast-paced
I'm like,
lifestyle.
Mental
I
strain
can't
as
do
well.
it anymore.
Keeping up with that in your head, even if you're
Yeah.
not. The
Yes.
competition,
Yes.
the physical side of it is one thing, but like you say, it's always on. You're always having to think.
And like you
that.
mentioned, it is your
Always on.
job. So if you're gaining more from doing a show, maybe more money, maybe it's putting less strain on your body, then there's
Yes.
no reason why you'd be competing, because you're like, well, actually, this is my job. I'm not just competing because obviously you've got goals, and that's good, that's healthy, but you're also putting yourself first rather than having to just be like, oh, here's my medal. No, I'd rather keep my back and do a show.
Yeah. But I said in 2010, I'm going to stop. I'm going to retire. So it's like,
okay,
10 years
10
later.
years later, still here doing his thing. I mean,
yeah.
But I think at least as well, the cool thing with what you've got is that at least you've got another outlet now with everything else that you're doing in terms of your sponsorships and that. I think if people are just at the top of their game and all they do is just compete and that's how they provide brand value, then they can't really, they're not much of a use. But like, you seem like you've got so many avenues you can just put all your resources and energy.
I know, but my heart is still the competitor and that warrior inside. There's that nothing like you. I have a trophy room full of trophies and medals that are worth nothing money wise, but they mean that's the most important thing.
Everything to you, like, of course.
Yeah.
How about then, Matt? If you set up a separate like shindig event to try and compete with Kenny's, then that will, you can compete in that level. You compete off the bike, but
off the bike. But okay, let's get a room of trophies, because I still don't even own a trophy from my bike. But, and I've Well, moving on, like you say, we're making a career because this is your job. You know, like you say, it's pretty hard going. It's definitely not an easy lifestyle. But another thing that's quite interesting that seems quite new. You're doing bike art as well. Kenny's bike art. Can you go into that a little bit? How did that start? What's the future of that too?
Well, bringing back the relationship with Red Bull, you know, they're always like, hey, business planning, what were you going to do next year? You know, it's like, what do you have in mind? And I never pitched it, but I always had the idea, like, wouldn't it be cool if I had a big canvas in a big warehouse, like a 20 meter by 20 meter, and I just paint my tires and I just cruise around and see what happens. But I never did anything with it. I had that idea for 15 years, maybe. Then I was in Bentonville and 2018, and I met a guy, also a Belgian guy. His name is Lieven. He's the director of a museum. Well, now it's a museum. Back then, he still had to build it. Because that's why they hired him. So he built a museum, Belgian guy. So we got an immediate contact, and I mentioned this idea to him. And he said, like, hey man, wouldn't it be cool if you really got to show me what it is? I'm like, I have no idea what it is. I've never done it. So, and he had big plans. He was gonna use my painting, my concept at Art Basel in Miami, which is the biggest art fair in the world. You can't get in unless you're like, it's like the world championship of art. It's like huge. I was like, holy shit. So there I go. I call my friend. He's an artist. I'm like, hey man, we got an opportunity here. I got to do this. I got to make this art piece and show them what it is. So I didn't think about a concept, about color matching, about like, there was no plan, just the canvas. And I was like, hey, like,
here's my
go
bike,
back
here's
and
some
forward,
paint, right?
up. Yeah. And then I showed it like, this is it. And him and his investors were like, no way. We're not putting that inside. And I was like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. Like, you don't get it. It's like, that's not it. This is just, just show you bike, paint, tire, canvas, there's nothing. I don't even know what I was doing. I didn't even care what I was doing. And then, kind of challenged me. They said, I can't take a no. I'm like, what? No, fuck that. I don't want to. For my language.
No, it's good. Yeah, go on.
So I was like, okay, here I go again. So I got friends that had a warehouse, bought all the paint, and then I started like painting. And then I made the first work for Red Bull. And then they showed a video online, and then they got good traction. People liked it. I was like, hey man, I really enjoyed this. Like, this is fun.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like
it must be kind of for yourself, like a good outlet.
Yeah,
a good
nobody's telling me what to do, where to do, how to put this line or that line. I can just do whatever I want, how I want it, and be free. And in the end, I'm a perfectionist, so I don't stop until I like it.
Yeah.
I've thrown away paintings. I overpainted them and start again because I will not stop. And then I was like, hey, what if I created a concept around it? Like, I think about a cool trip like New Zealand. This cave. And then I'm trying new techniques. And because it looks all like, now I'm just playing around and I know exactly what I'm doing. And I know exactly what's going to come out of when I put this kind of paint and that amount of paint with this tire pressure, with this specific tire. Doing that technique or jumping from this high, not that high, but this high. I can't have knobs on my tire. They have to be a little worn out. Like there's a lot to it.
So even like small, you can't like use a new tire then?
No, because then it's a whole thing now.
Wow, it's like a full-on techniques and
and then people started buying them. I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like, and now I'm talking to do an exhibition, like a solo show in February here.
That was going to be my question. Have you got enough art yet to just have a full-on Kenny exhibition that's just your paintings?
Every work that I'm going to make now until February is going to be for that exhibition, but all the rest has been sold. So
awesome.
That is cool, man.
So there's really a market for it, and on top of that, I like it, and it's like I always think if you do something on a trials bike or any bike, BMX, whatever, you film it and it's there on YouTube and it's digital. So I'm like, how can we make it analog? How can we how can we do this experience, this thing that just happened?
Yeah.
We put it on paint on a canvas and you hang it on a wall, and in 200 years it's still there. That idea for me is, if the internet crashes.
Yeah,
I love that.
I never thought that,
Yeah.
because everyone's like, oh, you got to go digital, you know, it can be instantly replicated, like you can make a book, it can be printed, but like you said, there's so much more value in that, because it's a one-off.
Yeah, and always, like I say, there's always a story behind it, you know. Like, I was there influenced by that. Like, last 2 weeks ago, I was in Bentonville after the event. I took a few days off, and I had this guy has a Cash Artist Studios, huge space. I was like, oh man. So I drove to Home Depot and bought like all my stuff. I was like, I can't sit still, right? So I like took a pickup truck, you know, this American F-150 pickup truck.
God, whilst you're there, you've got to, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Put some canvas, the whole thing, and then I started painting. And there's one artist, Griffin, and he has like all these metal artworks which are like very geometric. I was like, you look at it and hey man, I can do something with that. And like that's the cool thing about the art. I've always been very creative. Like the way I work with sponsors, or that I sell a concept, or that I think out of the box. Hey, I'm an athlete, but I can also organize, and I can also do show. And you try to be very impulsive in the actions. That over the 20 years, I was very impulsive into my actions, and that's how I make the art. It's like, it's a very impulsive thing. I just put this color, that color, this color, up, boom, boom, bah. Yeah, I like it. No, I don't like it. And then, no, now I like it. Done. As you see, it's like, it's just I discover a lot about my personality too, because of the art, because it's like,
well, it's a way of expressing yourself.
I never thought about that. Expressing, and like, I never thought about it, that I'm impulsive, like, but now I know I am abstract. Like, I can start writing, really, and then my handwriting, the style will change along the way I'm writing. And I'm like, why do I do that? But if I look at my artworks, it's like one time it's geometric, the next time it's like a lot of colors, and the next time it's black and white. And like, I'm not even following myself, and I'm just letting it go, and like, this is cool.
yeah, it's like a really nice kind of another.
And I think
release.
that's another release. Yeah. I think that's also why in my career I've been following the wrong gates many times in a competition, because I just sometimes do whatever I want.
Yeah, of course.
This way's better. So one of my early exposures to you, Kenny, I really want to bring this up because it was good. It was big in the UK for us. In about 2009, there was on Extreme Sports Channel. You had Kenny's Big Time Trial Adventure.
Oh, yes.
I found this amazing, because like, oh my god, like trials on TV, like. And am I right in thinking this was almost like the sort of start of like your kind of progression into stuff other than sort of competing, bringing more value, as you say?
Exactly. So that was one of the tipping points where I was like, okay, I've now won X amount of European titles, world titles. Where's you see all these guys like that don't compete having more exposure and more sponsors and more this and more that. I was like, that's weird. Like, why is that? And then I started to think like, plus I still remember I was sitting right here and I was watching the TV, and I was like, they were showing like 20-year-old trials moves. And I was like, come on, man. Like, that sucks, you know. Our sport deserves better. Like, we're training our ass off in a forest and no one cares. Like, that had to change. So I was like, very randomly, impulsively, like I always do, just picked up my computer, extremesportchannel.com, emailed all the guys, said, I can make a TV show for you. And like, okay. And they were like, okay, cool. And then I was like, fuck, I never produced a TV show.
I love that though, because confidence is key.
So I just said, give me a letter of intent. So they sent me a letter of intent, and then 2 months later, I had all the budget together to start filming. So yeah, and the message had to be really like straightforward, like trials, the roots, like from Spain, and then also Hans Ray, because Otp and Monty is like the roots of trials, but you have someone like Hans who kind of did more with it. Like,
Yeah.
he was thinking out of the box. So I had to document that. Then my shows, of course, you can also do shows with it. And then there was also the competition aspect, how much we have to train for it. So we also had a competition in there. And then the adventure and the lifestyle. And then, hey, if trials rider, you can go on a mountain bike. If you're on a mountain bike, you can do more cool things than most of the people on a mountain bike. So that whole, it was like a hidden commercial for trials. So that was my my uncle said yesterday it was on a cruise ship somewhere in Egypt. He said it's like
still playing it now. Wow.
It was like in 60 countries and it reached like 500 million households or something like that over the years. So I never got it was all promotion. I never got like paid for it, like TV rights or anything. It's just, again, another promotion for trials because I thought it was, and indirectly also for me, of course, because had my name to it. So I think it was a win-win for all, win-win for the sport, for everybody involved, and also for me and my sponsors.
Well, I think that was just incredible. Just like, obviously I've watched it, but didn't know how it came about. Like, you just emailed them, and I would assume it would be the other way around. But
I thought they were like, we need you to make this. But sometimes I forget it is about you just going, by the way, I exist, I can do better. Yeah, sort of thing.
No, man. Especially everything I know, everyone I know, every like musician, no matter how big they are, or you got to go out there and sell there's just like an over offer in talent, in content, and who cares about the next TV show if you don't present it well, So I think that's it's key to just go out there and just promote yourself.
Well, connecting the dots in other people's minds, sometimes people don't actually see that, and it's only when they get a little nudge and something gets put their way, they're like, oh yeah, that does.
Never. Every project that you've seen that been like happening around me, if it's the balance video or the art or a World Cup in Antwerp, it's always me going and promoting and pitching and sitting behind my laptop. And I think I spend more time in my life behind my laptop than I've actually spent on my bike. Wow. I think that's actually pretty. That's not even exaggerated.
And well, this is, and also the stuff that we're talking about is just the stuff that's landed, the stuff that did make the mark. I'm sure for every one of these, there's probably been about another 10 times that stuff that has not made the mark. So that just shows testament how much you're pushing stuff out there.
Yes, all the time. Like every year, like I think this morning I reached out to 10 people related to the art. Probably none will respond or ever get back to me, but if one does, that's like how it starts. So you just never give up and you keep doing it, and that's something that's a lot of especially I can say a lot of trials riders forget that sometimes you have to go and do it and ask and propose and sell it. You're the product, so you got to sell it if you don't have a manager.
Yeah, this is resonating with me a little bit. I'm just going like, this is really good advice, Kenny.
But unless you don't make a few $100,000 a year, no manager will be interested in you. So you better go out and do it yourself.
Yeah. Bootstrap and do it. Well, that's probably the best way sometimes, because you have obviously that level of hunger, really. Sometimes must get harder with all the stuff that comes to stay true to your roots like you are, and actually knowing what the bigger goal, the bigger objective is here.
So you just mentioned that then, you're like, obviously a lot of time in front of your computer. I wanted to ask then, how does your balance look on and off the bike? Are you riding every single day without fail, or what's the kind of training regime like?
I used to train every day on my bike, and then, as the sport kind of changed into like a powerlifting gap as far as you can sport, I spend two times a week in the gym now. So nice. 2 times a week in the gym, 4 times a week on the bike, and then some recovery training, like on the road bike or something. Yeah, but I train way less than before because my body doesn't recover as fast anymore. So I got to be smart about it. If not, I'm just gonna go down. And that's not something I want.
It's your livelihood, your career, and obviously the faster you burn out, the faster you won't be able to. I mean, I'd like to think you'll probably be making art for the rest of your life. That seems reasonably simple, maybe.
Well, I was thinking about it yesterday. I had 2 pieces that I have for a client here, and I trained pretty hard the day before, and I was like oh man, my back. So I like
just doing the simple stuff. I just need to create these lines.
I think I'm just gonna have to roll the bars back, and then I'll be fine. I have 2 spacers under my head, under my stem.
Yeah, just to go the classic way, because you still have all the rides. You're still doing bunny hops and stuff now as well. You know, like this new way of trying. You're still doing bunny hops. I see.
Oh no, not on that bike.
Well,
there's no way.
No. What? Oh, you mean on your new? Because I thought you were always one that kept carried on the bunny hop move, and now
I kept on, but I must say, like I kind of got soft on it. I don't do it enough. I honestly, if there's a big like kicker to like a huge log, there were days that I was like, oh yeah, piece of cake. But now I'm like, shit, I should train it more. I'm really, and when I was really good at it, I got overconfident. I was like, oh yeah, I got this. And then I still bailed. So I'm like, you know what?
So what are you riding now, Kenny, for our listeners? What trials bike you on?
Clean, the carbon bike.
The clean
carbon.
Yeah, we was astounded that you was also using that for your painting. Like, you know, like one of the most like expensive like bikes out there. It's like, a bit of paint on it. I'm sure that's not going to matter.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's just it's a plastic bike. Yeah, it's just carbon. Just just a mold. It's just a mold.
It's all right. It's all right. Now I try to clean them every go, but if I don't have a power washer and it's hot, I'm screwed.
Yeah,
and that has paint all over.
Is that your first carbon trials bike?
Yeah,
because they're pretty new.
I did have a top tube at the Belaey Cox frame, the white one. I had a carbon top tube.
Oh, you remember that? It had like a partly carbon fiber. I do remember that.
Yeah, but the yoke broke, so yeah, that it was always something.
What are your thoughts then on the move to sort of the carbon frames? How are you finding it?
I mean, I like it, but it's really great for trials. For if you want to compete and like get the most out of your performance, because it's so rigid, and like if you hang on to something, like now everything is like vertical. So if you're hanging there, and I'm a heavy guy, I'm like 82 kilograms, so maybe 83, 84. Yeah. So if I'm hanging there on an aluminum sandwich fork, that won't work. But on a carbon bike, it's a doof, and you go back and you go up, and it like gives you that instant energy back. So that's something I like about it. The downside is that my bike probably has 2 cracks in it right now, and I can luckily I don't have to buy them, but I can imagine if you have to buy them, that's really that sucks. My friend just broke his, and he's like, okay, I'm done. I'm going back to aluminum. So it is great, but you got to be careful, and you got to put the right protection at the right places for sure.
Because before that, you were having special bikes sort of made, didn't GT made your own trials frame for you, didn't they?
Yeah, that was a bummer, because I had big plans that GT had big plans with me too, but then they had kind of a upper management change, and then the whole project like fell in the water. But yes, I had two models. I think they made me one 2012, I think, but that was so heavy. It was in like it was like a Montesa, like the T19 or whatever.
Well, I mean, they were a mountain bike company, weren't they, making a trials frame? So I suppose they were still learning, weren't they?
Yeah, and then I got the more like hydroform tubes, and that looked really good. And then a month or 2 before we had to release, the new general manager like pulled the plug, and he stopped like my trials project. He kicked out the Addertons. He stopped. Oh, wow. I got kicked out. Kyle Strait, Hans Ray had like limited edition white bikes with gold that also got stopped. They fired like 30 people worldwide. It was like Wow.
And then major reshuffle by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and then eventually they saw it didn't work, that the sales were still bad, so they just fired that guy who fired everybody.
That sounds about right. I know, because I only recently got one of my friend Tom. I said he was been riding for GT, and like the pandemic's hit, and they've had a reshuffle, and they're like, "I'm sorry, we can't carry on your contract." So, things are
That's that's the corporate world, and that's why I also like I'm really grateful that I have all these sponsors that I can pay my bills like that. But I also know it's so fragile, so I'm happy to have the art project now. I'm happy to have an event, because that's also been like part of the strategy. Like, I don't want to rely on just sponsors who can just have a bad year and then you're fired.
Yeah.
I mean, and I still want to ride my bike and be like in the bike lifestyle for the rest of my life, hopefully. So I'm glad to have all these projects. And that's now when I'm glad that I'm in the winter of my sportive world championship career. So now I'm glad that, like I say, I spent so many time behind my computer, right? When Gilles Coustelier was not doing it, I know I still remember him saying, when he's in an airplane and working on other stuff, I'm training, and that's how he always beat me. Because he was so good that time, he was like always on his side. He was a machine, and I was like, damn, I'm doing too much this, I'm doing too much that. But now I'm happy that I did. Now I can, like, I opened so many doors in the days that I was good. Maybe I was second, yes, but I opened so many doors back then that now I can just
putting in the groundwork, and now you can just plant the seeds, and you've got mighty oaks now. By the sounds of it. With that in mind, with the kind of progression in the sport in mind, I'd be interested to know what you think of the bikes themselves, because sometimes when we've had people like Martin Ashton on and some of the older sort of trials riders, they think that actual trials bikes, as performance as they are for getting through competitions, it can sometimes alienate the spectators. What would kind of be your take on that to grow the sport, really?
It's very double. If you look at it from a mass participant like point of view, you probably want to have a seat on there and have more like a bike like Danny McCaskill and LEC. I think that's a no-brainer. More people will be like, oh yeah, cool, I can do it. I just give me this bike and can track stand, and then you got the competition riders that we don't want to see. It has to be light, has to be special, has to be weird looking. So I think, honestly, if you want to bring it on TV and all that, then it doesn't matter if your bike looks weird, honestly, because people appreciate the spectacular aspect of the sport. You're like hopping from one skinny thing to the next, and like people are just blown away. And some people don't even realize there's not a seat on it. But I do think it kind of destroyed the. The tipping point was when they removed the seat on it. I think it was in when was it, 1999, when Monty came out with that bike. And I do think it kind of like threw off a lot of people, because all of a sudden you're not like on this bike anymore. You're on this weird looking bike, which is kind of sad. I don't know. It's double. I don't have a right answer to it.
It is I can see it. In terms of all sports, it's like we've got so many different levels of it, even though it's the same sport, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I do believe, I always say this to sponsors who are like bike brands, mainly bike brands. They always go like, yeah, but we don't sell this weird, special bike. And I'm like, and then I always say the same thing to them, like, how many Formula One cars does Mercedes sell? Or Renault?
That's a good point. Yeah, I haven't sort of seen it.
It's a special car. You don't see it driving around here. But if you use it right, if you market it right, if you sell the concept right to TV, you create stars out of the athletes, and you create a whole business model around that. Then it doesn't matter how your bike looks, and so far no one has touched that aspect of the sport yet.
That's a very interesting point. I love that analogy, just to kind of see like they're more interested. Is spectating people are interested in that, not necessarily what that item looks like or how he did it, I suppose.
No, exactly. But I must say, if I jump on a picnic table on my full suspension mountain bike and I do something super simple on my front wheel, back wheel, and back off, people are blown away. And and then I take my trials bike and you put two picnic tables on top of each other and you side hop on the top one, and everybody be like, yeah, it's a special bike. So
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
I don't have a right answer to it. It's like, I don't know. It's like,
they see you do that going, oh, he can do it because the bike's special.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, oh, he can do it because he's
like
awesome.
It's a pogo stick or something.
Yeah, or anyone go like, oh, I see how he does that because it's so specialist sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I recently saw
whatever.
You mentioned... Sorry, go on.
No.
I was going to say, you just mentioned then about going on your mountain bike onto the picnic bench and so on. You've just you got a brand new sponsor now from Gas. Is that right? They're sponsoring.
Yeah.
And they're doing e-bikes, which is sort of some of the future of trials. I wanted to kind of get your take on that, or see. He's umming and ahhing here. What are your thoughts on the e-bike world then, Kenny?
I mean, the e-bike world. I don't know if you remember, but I used to distribute Monty in like 2008 and 9, and I went. I had some people that going to shops and then with the e-bikes, and back then a lot of people said, e-bikes, it's for old people only. So I could never imagine that now I would be sponsored by an e-bike brand, because the engines are better, the bikes are better, everything is crazy. It's like, but it's a different sport. You can't compare. It's like when I go riding on my e-bike, I don't think it's necessarily the same thing as an effort as I'm doing on a mountain bike, but it's way more fun. I'm like doing in Spain, I got a hill and I go up 4 times, like all the way to the valley, back up 4 times in like an hour and a half. While on a normal bike, I can do just up once, down once, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different sport. And I've been thinking about it, man, wouldn't it be cool if you had like a smaller version engine, lighter, on a rigid bike?
Yeah.
And we can do this crazy uphills, like, because now the bikes are pretty heavy and like there's a lot to it, and you can't be so technical as you want. But I think if you put your thoughts to it as an engineer and really made a bike, an e-bike specific to trials, I think it would be great. It would be really awesome. An engine that reacts instantly, so when you pedal kick, like it gives you that instant torque, things like that. Because now you got to have like 1.5 pedal strokes in, and then the engine starts.
Yes.
So, and that's really annoying when you try to do something on trials, because it's like it kicks you off. You're in the wrong time. You're going to an obstacle, and then you want to lift your front wheel, and all of a sudden the bike goes. It's like sometimes it's quite annoying. But if you
interesting point,
but this gas deal is really awesome, because they needed a mountain biker that wasn't a 100% mountain biker, and they needed a trials rider that was also into mountain bikes. So I was like, that's me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, that's it. Most trials riders can get on a mountain bike generally and do, like you said earlier, can probably do things that little bit more impressive. But I'd like to think someone that might resonate with them. Anyone going to make a smaller engine out there for trials bikes? And he made a really good point about engagement. On mountain bikes.
So I suppose it wouldn't need to be. It probably wouldn't need to last as long as, like you were saying, being able to go up and down a hill 4 times. But it's just more lighter, quicker response. And it doesn't need as much power, I suppose, because it's only short bursts of power.
It probably needs quite a lot of torque, I think, because when you start from standstill and you want to go up to an obstacle. But I do think there's a future there for trials. I only think the research is going to be quite expensive. So maybe I should speak to Gas and because they are in the trials world, they have benefit.
That was kind of what I was going with. Gas's background is, from what I understand, is motorbike trials, isn't it? That's the only term I know. Gas. It's like that brand. Before I even know what a mountain bike trial was, you'd say, "Oh, you've got a gas," and I thought that was the style of bike. Like that's how much I know that name.
Like a Jeep.
No, exactly. So I was really curious to see, like, they've made you this mountain bike. I was like, are you in with them and maybe working on some sort of trials system? That's what I was going to get.
Well, it's a big company, so it's not easy to. And it will with the big companies. It always comes down to the same question: how many are we going to sell? It's like.
That's a good point. You can't make 100 and sell them is still not good enough. You need to be making thousands and.
Exactly.
It could be a good breaking point for the.
But as I get older, maybe create a new category and be world champion for one more year because I'll be the only one with the bike. You know?
Well, Hans has said he's working on something, a new platform.
Yeah.
So,
but that's a new thing. He wants to stick to, we don't modify the bikes again, because we did it with the other trials discipline, with the bicycle trials. We modified the bikes, and now it's not as popular. So what if we do? And I heard about like Gironi Fajardo, the motor trials guy, his father. Every Saturday they go with like a bunch of like 60-year-old people like on an e-bike, and they try to go uphill and do like technical uphill trials. So because that's something you can do with and they have one. It's like I say, it opens a lot of perspective.
Yeah, it's
a new sport, it's a new discipline, and it's good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we're gonna have to get some e-trials bikes for sure.
Yeah, technology's only going to drive us, fingers crossed. I'm sure that's going to be the way. What in terms of the average rider, so us guys that are out on our bikes at the moment, obviously we're doing this podcast and things like that. What more can trials riders individually, if there's anyone listening to this, do to help the sport grow? As you as kind of overseeing it from like the top, like what can other people do?
I think you always have to be proactive for starters. If you don't have a trials park, you just walk in the city town hall and you say, hey, look, I want a trials park. And they'd be like, how do we get it? I'll just build it for you. What you need? I just need your space. I'll figure it out. And then you go to somebody with construction materials. They always have like old pipes lying there. It's simple stuff. You gotta be more
own it. That's what I'm sort of getting at here.
Get out there, sell your sport, make sure that people know it. There's a lot to do with trials. You just got to see the value and convince people that it has value, and that if you want to be a coach, you don't have enough students. Well, do some plans to get enough students, build your park, maybe even take your mountain bike, offer lessons on a mountain bike. If you want to, there's so much to do. You just got to think.
You don't necessarily need to have a trials bike to learn the basics of trials, sort of thing.
No. You just got to be proactive. I think also in your riding, you just got to always think, how can I improve? How can I do it better? How can I, it counts for everything almost, I think. And
it's always, you've made it quite clear, all the successful events and competitions seems to be made for riders by riders. Yeah. That's how our sport has kind of followed.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you got like the same thing. Like some people are like, our federation doesn't do anything for trials. I'm like, yes, but put yourself in their position.
Yeah.
They are 100-year-old in road cycling, 50 years old in cross country, BMX. They know everything about it. They have a structure, they have a team, and they have no one for trials. Maybe you should go in the federation and be that point of contact for trials, instead of saying the federation doesn't do anything about it. No, that's what we did. My dad's the coach because there was no one there.
Yeah.
He went and he became the coach. Like that's how it is. It's a small sport, and you just gotta understand that.
No, I like that. That resonates well. Just be like, right, everyone, go to your local council and build a trials park in your hometown right now. But it is that simple. If you've got space.
But just asking, getting those opportunities, just engaging in the conversation.
Ask it nicely, of course.
Yes. No.
Don't say,
hey, don't go in demanding it.
I want a trials park
now.
A what?
Yeah. No, of course, but it is that kind of, don't be shy, get out there.
No, go get out there.
Nice. Well, we won't keep you too long, but we do have an important part of our podcast. We like to just ask every guest the semi-quick fire round to get a little bit of an insight to you. First question, if you could ride anywhere in the world, Kenny, for a day, where would that be? Where's your favourite spot to ride?
Camps Bay, Cape Town.
Camps Bay, that was spot on. Camps Bay, Cape Town, because I'm going to South Africa in February.
Fingers crossed to be there as well. Yeah.
Okay, that was a very quick answer, mate. You were ready for that.
What about it specifically? What's so good about it?
What's so good about it?
I don't know. I got good memories there. It's a beautiful country. Like even if it's a little bit a little bit of weird politics and it's maybe not so safe, but there's still so much good things about it too. Especially Cape Town. Cape Town is safe, but the rest of South Africa is not that safe.
Yeah.
But I got many friends there. The rocks are pretty cool. It's like this granite boulders, like round. It's not technical, but it's really nice, flowy, and like you can ride a lot on it for hours and hours. You got the landscape in the back from Table Mountain, and then you can just get a coffee in Camps Bay and one of the beach clubs and hang out and chill. And I mean, what's wrong about that?
Yeah, no, nothing. Because I think Thomas Pekka said that as well, wasn't it? South Africa was his spot.
Cape Town.
Oh yeah, he was there.
Yeah. So that was definitely. So yeah, good shout. Okay, so you're in South
Cape
Africa.
Town.
Yeah.
What's the one move that you just love? Like that you just gotta always do, the Kenny move on your bike.
Whoa. I always do the things that I can do, because I want to improve. So let me think. What's my favorite move right now? That's the thing. It's not so technical over there. So, but I do like technical stuff. Like if I see something, if it's the skinnier and the more like the narrower it is, like a knife rock. If it's a rock like a knife, I just want to ride on it. I like the challenges of like balancing and like just do the impossible almost in the technical stuff. That's what I like the most. Like that's my thing, really.
Well, actually, that makes me remember
taking off. Yeah, sorry.
No, does that tie into your? Because we forgot to mention this, you were riding along a cable cart wire, which is probably one of your most famous clips. When I say, "Oh, Kenny Belaey," like, who's that? A guy that rode on a cable cart on a mountain bike. Do you not remember? They were like, "Oh yeah." Is that
the
how
slack
that?
line.
Yes. Was it? Yeah. Like the slack line. Is that same sort of concept? Because you love the technical. You're like, "Oh,
yes.
I want to do this."
Yeah, I did want to ride a slack line, and I did want to do it on a mountain bike because it was honestly it's way easier on a mountain bike, and it just matches the whole atmosphere of mountains. And I was sponsored by GT too then. But yes, that was an indirect message again to trials, like, hey, balance, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I did it, because of trials, because I got the balance,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right.
But
so
yes.
We're in Cape Town. Riding, you're doing you're
riding a knife edge on the most pointiest,
technical.
gnarliest rock, whatever. Who would you be riding there with? Who pushes you to go further?
It could be one or two people,
or someone that you love riding with.
Yeah.
Love riding with, or that pushes me. That's not the same.
Oh, so they're two. Yeah, they could be two separate things. That's true.
We'll let you have both. One for each.
Yeah,
then,
we'll let you have it. It's yours.
If I want to have a chill ride over there, I probably go Dylan Victor. He's a good buddy of mine. He lives there, and we just have a good time. Ride. Cool. We're not like, it's not really pushing each other. It's just having a good time.
Yeah.
And that's something I value the most, because I can guarantee you, when you're always training for a world championship, it's not always fun. Because you have to train. It's not because you want to train. You have to.
That's a good point.
Train. And after 30 years, just give me someone to ride with. That's for fun, right?
Well, I mean, that's the whole concept. That's why we ride our bikes, I guess, because we want to get that buzz and
100%.
That fun.
100%. I think our line is a little.
Yeah, it's all right. I think we're back now.
Okay.
But obviously, finally, this is the Shindig podcast. Kenny, can you remember your worst ever shindig?
Oh yeah, man, that was gnarly.
See, I love these. Go on, tell us a little bit about it.
I was 16 or 17, and I was like a little Jack Carty back then, riding from morning till evening, never stop, no breaks, riding. And I had dinner, showered. I wasn't in my riding kit anymore, but I still wanted to ride. So I took my bike, go to the back. And my dad's in construction, so he has these counterweights for a crane. So I don't know if you know what that is, like big concrete blocks.
Yeah.
But that one he had was like cut in a V, and it was about a meter high. So I'm like cruising back on my bike, no helmet, just my shorts, and I like want to bunny hop in the time we could still bunny hop.
Yeah.
Trial bikes like a BMX.
Yeah.
I want to bunny hop and manual over, and I like land on the V, and like manual.
Yeah.
And my back wheel misses the tip, and it goes a little off to the left, so my back wheel slips, and as I slip, my leg goes on the on the concrete, and I'm not joking. It was like it looked like my leg was cut in half. It was like it was a wound like this all around my whole leg around.
Jeez.
And
it's not the worst one we've had.
I could see my tibia and my two bones.
Oh dear.
I saw my two bones moving like this in my leg when I moved my foot, and no muscles were harmed. I don't know how that's possible.
I was going to say, because that's got to go right. Well, I suppose on the shin there's not too much there anyway, but yeah, but around the other
there's
side,
not a lot to the bone, is there? You can feel
on the side, on the
right the way round.
But if you go right the way round, yeah.
Yes, and I had like 70 stitches.
Damn. I think you might have
you've won it there, yeah.
You've won the 2021 Shindig so far, like over the story. That is like full on leg, almost. It sounds like it almost amputated your leg. Like,
have you got any pictures? Have you got any pictures?
No.
Probably back then it wasn't a priority.
I still remember I'm like on the Porsche. I'm like, Mom. And she comes outside. She's like, drove to hospital, and I wanted, you think you're like some important athlete because you're 16 and you won a lot. So you're like, we want the best doctor.
Has he done this before? Does he know what he's doing?
We've rebuilt many shins before. This is the man for you. He's the trials
He's busy.
doctor.
He's busy. Sorry. So I lie there like 2 hours waiting for that doctor with like a piece of cloth on my leg, and all once in a while I looked. I was like, whoa.
Oh man, it sounds absolutely disgusting, though. But at least it's one. Again, there's always one. I think every rider has that injury that really resonates with them, and it generally is their shin.
Yeah.
I'd like to think, because it's so.
Coming back to shins. After that, I was wearing shin guards like even when I was sleeping. I was like scared to have something again. So I was like 16, so I was like wearing it until. I think I still remember that competition was 2008. Yeah, 2008. And that was the first competition I removed them again. Like, I think it must be like 12 years later. And the reason is because I was trying to hook a big wall, like the height of my head. Yeah. And I was trying to hook it like 10 times, 15, 20, 30, like, and I couldn't get on it. I was like, damn. I removed my shin guards and I made it first try.
I was like, here first, guys. There you go. They are restricting.
I was like, all right, I don't ride shin guards anymore. And ironically, I'm on an awkward. I haven't had a bad accident again because once you had so much pain on your shins, you're like, it's the best lesson. So you think twice now before you do something.
Yeah, I think we did say that just now, saying like as you get better, I like to think that it becomes less common. Touch wood again.
Yes.
Every conversation.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you kind of feel like you'll become better at bailing, sort of thing. You're like jumping away from the bike.
Exactly.
To do that. So gnarly shindig story. But mate, we won't keep you any longer. I think I'm sure you're a busy man.
No problem.
Lots to do.
For
last couple of messages. Right. I think if you'd like to have anyone on the podcast and hear their story, who would it be?
Sorry, say it again. The line kind of.
Yeah, no, that's good. If you could have anyone on the podcast and you'd like to hear their story, who would that be?
I don't know. There's so many riders out there that I know that are friends, and
or someone who you feel
maybe
like
Vincent Hermans.
the trials world hears from.
Vincent Hermans. That's another good one. He's right. He's got his tally coming through now, so that's a good one.
Yeah, because I mean, not a lot of people know that, but I think Vincent and Gilles, Vincent and Gilles, I think, are the only ones that I like that I've been battling with. Like, okay, once Jack Carty came, he was already better than anyone, so that doesn't count.
So there's no battle there.
It was always like Vincent or me, Vincent or me, Vincent or me. And then he was better. And, when you're younger, it's like, oh man, like, you're like full of rage, like training, like, I want to be better.
Yeah.
And then it Vincent me. And then all of a sudden it was in 2008, Gilles came. So Gilles Coustet. And then it was like Vincent, Gilles or me. And then it was only Gilles. And then it's like us three, we like been on the top of our game for so long. And back in the days, you were angry and like, but now we're like looking back and we're like friends and we're like, oh man, this was a good time. And it's like, because of those two people actually that my level always like grew and grew and grew, because we were pushing each other. And at the time you don't see it and you just see the negativity between your like rivals.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh man, I'm glad these people were around. We pushed each other so hard. So like to hear their story.
Good one. Good shout. That is a perfect shout.
And I'm sure many of our listeners would definitely want to have a listen to their story as well, because like you say, that level of competition, being at the top for so long, you guys, it's really refreshing to hear from your angle.
Exciting rivalry, I must say. Like those three names, they will resonate with trials for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
Sweet, man.
Thank you guys for doing this. I think this is also what our sport needed. More podcasts, more analysts, more people talking about it, more journalists, more photographers. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, coming from someone like you, man, that does it does mean a lot, and we're really glad to be doing this, and we're just going to carry on. Yeah, we'll just keep plowing through.
Keep going.
Keep the discussions going, whether big or small rider. It's all about just having a chat and creating that. Key word is discussion. I don't think there ever was enough discussion in the forefront or out there for people to get involved in.
And putting media out there, we like to encourage anyone who's doing the same. There's a few other ones. I mean, like you say, journalism. There's Irik's got Bash Guardians.
Yep.
Which is
that's really good.
Kind of the written front, and trying to get behind all these brands as they come out and become, new, if you will.
And now hopefully the annual Brendanville festival that we should hopefully just take a whole plane of UK riders next year. I'd love to do that. I mean, that's it looks like a huge thing. So
we had 10,000 people already for the first year.
Wow. Yeah, and we'll be there. I can't fault not one.
June.
When's the dates?
June 10th to 12th. 2022.
Dates are already there. I'm going to get them in my calendar, book them off work, book my flights, and get back over to the States. Kenny, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, man.
Thank you, guys.
And hopefully we will, hopefully we'll ride again soon. Next time we're in Antwerp, we'll head over, because I love the Trials Park there. Always one of my favorite little spots. Love that.
Yeah, it's not bad. All right, take care.
Dude.
Thanks.
Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You